Hey book friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Paula, and in today's video we are going to talk about the 10 highest rated books on GoodReads that I have read. Hopefully that makes sense. I'll explain it in a second. If you haven't had a chance to, go ahead and click that subscribe button down below, join the fam, and let's get started. So I saw this idea going around. I believe I saw Jack Edwards do this video, as well as Haley in Bookland, who is a fellow Canadian booktuber. So I'll leave their links down below. You can check their videos out. But basically what you do is you open up your GoodReads and you go through to My Books. You go to the ones that you've read and you sort the rating by average rating. So this is going to be the 10 highest books averagely rated that I have read. So obviously everyone's top 10 is going to be very different, but these are mine. So I did look ahead on some of these. And I'm actually kind of surprised, but also really excited to talk about one author that kind of dominates a lot of them. So let's jump into it. So my 10th highest rated book overall is Square Deal by Maggie Gates. This is book number 3 in the Beaufort Poker Club series. I adore this series so much. And Maggie, there's a ton of her books actually on this list, which I'm super surprised about, but not at all, because I love them. And I think they're phenomenal books and more people need to read them. So you're gonna hear me talk about a lot of them. But book number 3 follows Hannah Jane and Isaac. Hannah Jane is an events coordinator at the resort in Beaufort, North Carolina, where the story takes place for this whole series. And Isaac is one of the other guy's friends. He's rich, he's got lots of money. He's kind of got this like arrogant vibe to him. He kind of starts to fall for Hannah. He likes her sassiness, her spunkiness. She wants absolutely nothing to do with him at all. She's like, get out of my face. They have a very hot and steamy moment in her office and things go from there. I rated this book 4 stars. It has an average rating of 4.56, which is pretty good. It's a great rating actually. So like I said, this is the 3rd book in this series. There are 6 books total. You will hear me talk about most of them in this video. So the 9th highest rated book on my list is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. I don't really have to talk about this book a whole lot. Most of us know what this is. This is easily my favorite movie in the entire series. This is one of my favorite books as well. I'll be honest with you, I haven't read the full series. Please don't hate me. I'm working on it. We're gonna get there eventually. But when the books were popular, I was not a big reader. I was very much a movie person. So that's that. This has an average rating of 4.58 and I gave it 5 stars overall. So the 8th highest rated book on my list is The Nightingale by Kristen. I had heard a ton of people talk about this. I read this towards the very beginning of my adult reading journey. Why I picked it up, I'm not really sure. I'm not a big fan of like war stories. I just get really emotional with them. There's a lot to unpack. Normally I don't pick those kinds of books up. Why I picked this one up, I don't know. If you haven't read this one, this is about 2 sisters living in France during the war with Nazi Germany taking over. It is very emotional. I know a lot of people don't like it because they think, to be honest, they think that it's not done properly, things like that, which I can totally understand. When I first got back into reading, I wasn't the most critical reader, I will be honest. This book really got me based off of emotion and not necessarily the story or the facts. So that's that. I rated it a 5 star, and this has an average rating of 4.59. The next book on my list is one of my favorites, sitting right here, A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. Easily my favorite book in this entire series so far. Many other people will also agree with me, I think. This book was just, I don't even know what to say about this book. I loved it so much. Again, I don't really have to talk a whole lot about it. Most people have read the ACOTAR series or at least know a little bit about it. So A Court of Mist and Fury is when Feyre finally leaves the Spring Court, goes to the Night Court to be with the Inner Circle. Some of my favorite fictional characters ever. I freaking love this book. All I'm going to say is chapter 55 and chapter 56. If you know, you know. That's that. This has an average rating of 4.62, and I give it, obviously, 5 stars. So the top 6 books are all by the same author, which on one hand kind of surprises me, but on the second hand doesn't, because I love her books. A lot of people really like her books. She's very much an independent author. I love her. I've been able to make great connections with her. And I chatted about her earlier, which is Maggie Gates. So I'm really excited to talk about more of her books. So the next book is a standalone from her, which is The Stars Above Us. So this is a military romance. This follows Griff and Bex, and Bex is a war correspondent, and she is sent over to Iraq to stay on base and kind of bring back stories from her time over there. Griff is a soldier over there, and they don't get along at first. He doesn't understand why they need to have a war correspondent over in Iraq with him and with his crew, but obviously things happen, and there is actually a little bit of a, I don't necessarily want to say mystery, but Bex is trying to find something out about her brother who was also in the military, and so they connect kind of over that a little bit. This is very much a workplace romance, forced proximity, grumpy sunshine. I freaking love this book so much. This has an average rating of 4.63, and I gave it 5 stars. All right, the next book is another book in the Beaufort Poker Club series. This is book number 2. This is called Wild Card. So this book follows Steve and Erica. Steve is a cop in the small town. Erica is new to the town, and they both bond over fairly similar trauma. It's definitely not the happiest book, I'll be honest with you, but it is so good, so emotional. So this book does have a little bit of forced proximity. Erica does move in on the same property that Steve lives on. You've got the trauma bonding, the small town. I love a good small town. I don't know what it is. There's just something so magical about it. Steve is a lumber snack, hashtag lumber snack. If you've read Maggie's books, you know. We love him. He is so grumpy, but has such a soft spot for the women in his life, and especially for Erica because of the trauma that the both of them go through, and they can relate to each other. This has an average rating of 4.64, and I gave it 4 stars. Next up is easily one of, if not my favorite book by Maggie Gates, and that is Nothing Less Than Everything. This is another standalone. This is actually her most recent book that she released, and it is her first sports romance book as well. So this is a football player and a cheerleader. So Tatum and Ren. Tatum just moved out east to join a new pro football team, and Ren is a cheerleader for the team. She's also an interior designer, and she's actually tasked to help design his apartment. They have no idea who each other is. She doesn't tell him that she cheers for the team. He doesn't say anything about being a pro football player. He just kind of assumes that everyone knows, and she doesn't. And they really find out who each other are when he ends up tackling her on the sidelines of a game. And there's rules within the football community. Players and cheerleaders are not allowed to date. So it gets a little tricky from there. I loved this book so much. It was so good. Tatum is such a teddy bear when he's around Ren. He's kind of got the rough exterior, but he's such a teddy bear around Ren. We love him, and he's got such a dirty mouth, which, I mean, we all love. This book has an average rating of 4.66, and I gave it 5 stars. All right, we're into the top 3 now, all of which come from the Beaufort Poker Club series. So the next one is In Spades, which is book number 4 in the series. This is probably one of my favorites in the entire series. This is Kristen and Will's story. So Kristen is a quote-unquote single mom. She is the legal guardian of her 3 younger siblings, I believe. So kind of single parent, kind of not. Will is a billionaire. This man has a ton of money. I loved this book. Will fell so hard for Kristen. Normally, I'm not a huge fan of like insta love, but he fell for her so quickly. He loves the kids, loves their family. He is willing to help Kristen, but not pity her, because she still wants to be able to make a living and help her siblings and all of that kind of stuff. So he, even though he's got billions and billions of dollars, he doesn't like snowplow into their lives and just like throws money at them. He listens to her, he lets her make decisions, which we love. There is a very steamy Ferris wheel scene. They go to a fair, the kids go somewhere else, they jump on the Ferris wheel. It's pretty freaking good. I love this book so much. And it's also an age gap. Another top trope of mine. So this also has an average rating of 4.66. I obviously gave it 5 stars. Next book is book number 5 in the series. This is Not in the Cards. So this book follows Jason and Melissa. Jason is a retired fighter pilot. Melissa is an ER nurse. They have known each other for years. Melissa is friends with Jason's sister. Jason left for the military and hasn't been back for a while. He comes back and he gets injured and ends up in the ER, and Mel is the one to take care of him. So they kind of rekindle their friends to lovers situation. You get a little bit of a flashback of how their friendship started, which is not the happiest story. But Jason has loved Mel for years. This book definitely gives off like Top Gun vibes. He calls her Goose. I freaking love it. And this came out right around the time that Top Gun Maverick actually came out. So we were all in the Top Gun vibes. I loved this so much. The average rating for this is a 4.69 and I gave it 5 stars. So the last book I'm going to talk about is actually the last book in the series. This is called Betting Man. This follows Chase and Bridget. Like I mentioned before, Jason is Bridget's sister, so there's the family relation, and Chase is a cop in the town. Chase has loved Bridget pretty much since they've known each other. Bridget has also loved Chase, but she's been a little bit more secretive about it, you know, kind of keeping it on the back burner. And she, throughout this entire series, in this interconnected series, she's been dating another guy, and he is not the greatest guy ever. And so the end of Jason and Melissa's book, so that at the end of Not in the Cards, you see something happen to Bridget, and then it continues on into the next book, and it's Chase and Bridget finally admitting that they love each other. This Friends to Lovers was one of the few that I was okay with. Friends to Lovers is not usually a trope that I like. This was one that I loved. I thought it was done so well. This whole book talks about trauma and trying to get away from it, and I freaking loved it. I was worried I wasn't going to enjoy this book because I knew it was a Friends to Lovers. Not at all. I was obsessed with this book. It was a great way to end the series, and I just freaking love it. This has an average rating of 4.85, and I gave it, obviously from my review, 5 stars. So those were my top 10 rated books on GoodReads. Thank you so much for watching. I would love to know what is one of the books in your top 10 on your GoodReads account. Let me know in the comments down below. If you haven't yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!